Hey friends, how are you doing today? I hope you're feeling blessed and staying in God's presence, and if not, I hope you feel uplifted after today's video. If you're new here, welcome to His Princess Christian community where we read a chapter of the Bible every day and then discuss it afterwards and in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and it opens the door for more people to join our community. And while you're at it, check out the description box. We got a lot of great stuff in there. So today we're reading 2 Samuel chapter 19, but before we get started, I want to say a prayer if you wouldn't mind bowing your heads with me. Dear God, thank you for bringing us together here on His Princess Christian community. Thank you for opening the door for people to join our community, for connecting us and strengthening our bond. Thank you for opening our eyes, our ears, our hearts, and our minds to your word. Thank you for your wisdom, understanding, and clarity as we seek to interpret your word. And thank you for the courage to apply it to our daily lives. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, 2 Samuel chapter 19. Word soon reached Joab that the king was weeping and mourning for Absalom. As all the people heard of the king's deep grief for his son, the joy of that day's victory was turned into deep sadness. They crept back into the town that day as though they were ashamed and had deserted in battle. The king covered his face with his hands and kept on crying, "Oh, my son Absalom, oh, Absalom, my son, my son." Then Joab went to the king's room and said to him, "We saved your life today and the lives of your sons, your daughters, and your wives and concubines. Yet you act like this, making us feel ashamed of ourselves. You seem to love those who hate you and hate those who love you. You have made it clear today that your commanders and troops mean nothing to you. It seems that if Absalom had lived and all of us had died, you would be pleased. Now go out there and congratulate your troops, for I swear by the Lord that if you don't go out, not a single one of them will remain here tonight. Then you will be worse off than ever before." So the king went out and took his seat at the town gate, and as the news spread throughout the town that he was there, everyone went to him. Meanwhile, the Israelites who had supported Absalom fled to their homes, and throughout all the tribes of Israel there was much discussion and argument going on. The people were saying, "The king rescued us from our enemies and saved us from the Philistines, but Absalom chased him out of the country. Now Absalom, whom we appointed to rule over us, is dead. Why not ask David to come back and be our king again?" Then King David sent Zadok and Abiathar the priest to say to the elders of Judah, "Why are you the last ones to welcome back the king into his palace? For I have heard that all Israel is ready. You are my relatives, my own tribe, my own flesh and blood, so why are you the last ones to welcome back the king?" And David told them to tell Amasa, "Since you are my own flesh and blood like Joab, may God strike me and even kill me if I do not appoint you as commander of my army in his palace." Then Amasa convinced all the men of Judah, and they responded unanimously. They sent word to the king, "Return to us and bring back all who are with you." So the king started back to Jerusalem, and when he arrived at the Jordan River, the people of Judah came to Gilgal to meet him and escort him across the river. Shimei, son of Gera, the man from Beriam in Benjamin, hurried across with the men of Judah to welcome King David. 1,000 other men from the tribe of Benjamin were with him, including Ziba, the chief servant of the house of Saul, and Ziba's 15 sons and 20 servants. They rushed down to the Jordan to meet the king. They crossed the shallows of the Jordan to bring the king's household across the river, helping him in every way they could. As the king was about to cross the river, Shimei fell down before him. "My lord the king, please forgive me," he pleaded. "Forget the terrible thing your servant did when you left Jerusalem. May the king put it out of his mind. I know how much I sinned. That is why I have come here today, the very first person in all Israel to greet my lord the king." Then Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said Shimei should die, for he cursed the Lord's anointed king. "Who asked your opinion, you son of Zeruiah?" David exclaimed, "Why have you become my adversary today? This is not a day for execution, for today I am once again the king of Israel." Then turning to Shimei, David vowed, "Your life will be spared." Now Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson, came down from Jerusalem to meet the king. He had not cared for his feet, trimmed his beard, or washed his clothes since the day the king left Jerusalem. "Why didn't you come with me?" Mephibosheth the king asked him. Mephibosheth replied, "My lord the king, my servant Ziba deceived me. I told him, 'Saddle my donkey so I can go with the king, for as you know, I am crippled.' Ziba has slandered me by saying that I refuse to come. But I know that my lord the king is like an angel of God, so do what you think is best. All my relatives and I could expect only death from you, my lord, but instead you have honored me by allowing me to eat at your own table. What more can I ask?" "You've said enough," David replied. "I've decided that you and Ziba will divide your land equally between you." "Give him all of it," Mephibosheth said. "I am content just to have you safely back again, my lord the king." Barzillai of Gilead had come down from Raulim to escort the king across the Jordan. He was very old, 80 years of age, and very wealthy. He was the one who had provided food for the king during the stay in Mahanaim. "Come across with me and live in Jerusalem," the king said to Barzillai. "I will take care of you there." "No," he replied, "I am far too old to go with the king to Jerusalem. I am 80 years old today, and I can no longer enjoy anything. Food and wine are no longer tasty, and I cannot hear the singers as they sing. I would only be a burden to my lord the king. Just to go across the Jordan River with the king is all the honor I need. Then let me return again to die in my own town where my father and mother are buried. But here is your servant, my son Kimham. Let him go with my lord the king and receive whatever you want to give him." "Good," the king agreed. "Kimham will go with me, and I will help him in any way you would like, and I will do for you anything you want." So all the people crossed the Jordan with the king. After David had blessed Barzillai and kissed him, Barzillai returned to his own home. The king then crossed over to Gilgal, taking Kimham with him. All the troops of Judah and half the troops of Israel escorted the king on his way. But all the men of Israel complained to the king. "The men of Judah stole the king and didn't give us the honor of helping take you, your household, and all your men across the Jordan." The men of Judah replied, "The king is one of our own kinsmen. Why should this make you angry? We haven't eaten any of the king's food or received any special favors." "But there are 10 tribes in Israel," the others replied. "So we have 10 times as much right to the king as you do. What right do you have to treat us with such contempt? Weren't we the first to speak of bringing him back to be our king again?" The argument continued back and forth, and the men of Judah spoke even more harshly than the men of Israel. Amen. So what did you think of 2 Samuel chapter 19? I'm interested to hear about it in the comments below. Let me know what your insights or interpretations were on the chapter. Maybe comment your favorite verse, or just say hi and let us know that you're a part of the community. And if you've been blessed lately, let us know so that we can rejoice with you. And if you need prayer, make sure you're putting that in the comments too so we can pray together as a community. Okay, so this starts off with Joab rebuking the king, and I wrote aside how your sorrow affects others. So it's important for us to pay attention to how our sorrow affects others. We are called to be selfless, and sometimes displaying our sorrow is so selfish. And, God forgive me, because this is something that I'm not always good at. I often wear my feelings on my sleeve, but we have to pay attention to the way it is affecting other people around us. So in David's case, he was mourning for his son so much that it caused the people to feel regretful for going into battle. They felt regretful for helping David, defeat his son who had rebelled against him. And Joab brought it to his attention and made it known that he said that if you continue to act like this, then not a single one of them will remain tonight, that you will lose the troops that have fought so hard for you. And I think it's important that as Christians, we need to be doing that for each other. We need to make sure that we let each other know, like, hey, be careful. Your sorrow is affecting other people. You're losing more people than you're gaining, and you're offending people, or whatever. We need to make sure that we're honest with people and we bring it to their attention. So David then went out, and he took a seat at the town gates and did what he was supposed to do. He kind of just sucked it up and did what he was supposed to do. So then this is the part that I really liked, was as David's returning to Jerusalem, he speaks not only to his friends but also to his enemies, and he shows them all grace and mercy that God would do. And this is just another reminder of how David was a man after God's own heart. His actions, except for, he's human, so his sins are there, but a lot of his actions show that he had a heart after God. So it first starts with Shimei, where he was, it says that this is the man, okay, he was one of Saul's family members, and this was the man that was just stoning him the whole way that he was trying to cross the Jordan River. This man was just throwing stones at him and hurling insults and cursing him. So when he was about to cross back, he fell at his feet before him and he said, "Please forgive me." So this man obviously realized he was wrong. I love that how when you're weary and when you're discouraged and when you're running from the enemy, that, that's when people show their true colors. But then when you're victorious in God, then, people just come forward, and, that's the way God works sometimes, his mercy and how his favor works, that your enemies even will fall before you and ask for forgiveness. And I just love that, the way that God's favor just works, and it even works on your enemies. So in this case, he fell and he says, "Please forgive me." And says, may the king put it out of his mind. He's like, "Forget everything that I did." And Abishai, who I think is Joab's son, said that he should die for what he did. And here goes David again. Never tell David that someone should die, because he does not handle it well. So he says, "Why have you become my adversary today? This is not a day for execution, but today I am once again the king of Israel." So he turned to this guy and he said, "Your life will be spared." So he gave him mercy the same way God gave him mercy for his sins. So then this was Mahilabeth, which is Jonathan's son, and he was the one that didn't come with Ziba, the servant, to with David as he was fleeing from Absalom. And in this case, when I was reading that part of the story, I was thinking, like, how could he not come? Like, how could he say that? Say all the things that Ziba said he said, after everything that David had done for him. And here he comes with his side of the story. And one thing I think that is important is that it notes his appearance. So it shows that he was pretty much in mourning the entire time that David was going through this. So it kind of supports his case that he didn't say those things that Ziba said. And so it's another reminder to take the things that people say as a grain of salt, and really confirm things for yourself, and don't just go off the word of what other people say. So in this case, he said that Ziba deceived him, and when he told Ziba to saddle up his donkey so he could go with the king, and he says that he said, "For I'm crippled." And he said, "Ziba slandered me by saying that I refused to come." So he's basically saying that was not true. And so David was like, basically David, with the wisdom that he had, he didn't really know who to believe in this case. So he said that they should split everything equally, because originally he had give everything to Ziba. And now he's saying that you should divide it equally between you. And then in the end, Mahilabeth was like, "No, give it all to him. I'm just glad that you're back," because he knows that he always has a seat at his table, that he'll never want for anything as long as David is around. And I kind of, that part of it makes me wonder if maybe you just never know what the whole situation between those two are. But maybe he was just sometimes it's better to give things away than to have other people hating on you, so to speak. So sometimes it's just like, take it. It's not worth fighting over. And if he's going to come and slander me to you, I don't want all that stuff, because now he'll have no reason to slander me anymore. So then the next section is David's kindness to Barzillai. And in this case, this is like an 80-year-old man, and he's like, he's telling this 80-year-old man to come with him to Jerusalem. And the man was like, "No, I'm too old." And he's like, "But take my son instead." And David's like, "Okay, I will do for you anything that you want." And he was like, "I will help your son in any way that you can." So then this next section, I wrote aside, this is petty. And there's so much in the Israelite culture that is just so petty. Like, they argue and fight over like the pettiest things. So in this case, it says, "All the men of Israel complained to the king. The men of Judah stole the king and didn't give us the honor of helping take you, your household, and all your men across the Jordan." So the men of Israel are complaining that the men of Judah brought the king ahead. And if you saw earlier in the chapter, David was saying, like, why are you the last ones to welcome back the king? David was asking why Judah was the last ones to welcome back the king. And in this case, the rest of Israel is saying, how come you stole the king and didn't let all of us take it? And the men of Judah replied, the king is one of our own kinsmen. Why should this make you angry? We haven't eaten any of the king's food or received any special favors. So obviously they were worried that the tribe of Judah was going to get special privileges or special attention. It's just really petty. And originally, and what's interesting is that David was originally saying at the beginning of the chapter, why are you the last ones to welcome me back? So it's just, that whole section is just like, what? Like, really? Is it that serious? So that is my interpretation of 2 Samuel chapter 19. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it. Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you stay blessed, stay in God's presence, and have a great rest of your day. I love you.